Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good morning. Good afternoon. I know we probably have folks joining from all across Canada here today. So thank you for taking the time out of your day to learn a little bit more about grant funding. We're just going to give everyone a second here to join and connect to audio. Looks like we've got folks still connecting to audio. So we will just get started in 1 minute here. But welcome. While we're waiting for folks to get connected, please feel free to hop into the chat and drop your name and your contact details. We can use this as a little bit of a networking session, just the time that we're using or the time that we're waiting for folks to join in here. So yeah, feel free to utilize the chat function to connect with your fellow colleagues here, maybe learn something new or make a valuable connection. Great. Okay, so we're going to get started here. It looks like most people have been able to successfully connect to audio. And for those who haven't, no worries. We are recording this session and we will be sending it out to registrants and attendees. So if you missed something today, if you want to go back and watch it again, we will be sending this out to you after today's session. So welcome to Grants 101, Grant Funding for Bookkeepers. We are so excited to be bringing you this special presentation in partnership with CPB. We're very excited to talk to you today about a few things. We're going to talk to you today about grant funding in general. I'm going to give a bit of an overview, let you know what are grants if you're brand new to them, how can you go about accessing those, what does that look like. I've got my colleague on the call here today, Jamie, who is going to be talking to you about some specific grant funding opportunities that you can leverage as a bookkeeper. So we're super excited for that session. Jamie has prepped some fantastic information for you. And then we're going to wrap up with an overview of Pocketed. So how can you actually utilize your Pocketed account to find grant funding opportunities that are right for you and the projects that you're executing and running at your business. So that's what our session looks like for today. We're going to end off with a bit of Q&A time. And so for the duration of the session, I do ask that you remain muted. If you do have an immediate question, you can drop that into the chat box. And we've got our colleague Alex on the call here today. And so if you do have that question and it's easy to answer right away, we'll address that in the chat. We'll save some time at the end for you to ask live questions. So at that point in time, I will call on folks to individually unmute themselves, and then you can ask your question to myself and Jamie directly. So without further ado, let's get started with today's session. And I want to give a bit of an intro to Pocketed and who we are. So Pocketed understands that building a business is hard. And one of the biggest barriers to growing your business is money and funds, right? We get that. We've lived that pain, trying to find money to grow our own companies, Pocketed included. But one thing that we've been very good at in building businesses is securing grants to build these businesses. So in the last 12 months, Pocketed has actually leveraged $750,000 in government funds to grow our team and scale our product. And this is real impact with real dollars, right? $750,000 in the last 12 months is no joke. And we want you to be able to obtain figures like this as well. So we launched Pocketed as a way to simplify access to government funding for businesses just like yours, connecting you with the eligible funds that you need to scale and the support that you need to secure these funds. And so we're so excited to be talking to you today about grant funding, programs that you can utilize, and of course, how you can leverage Pocketed to meet those funding needs. So as promised, I want to start off with a little bit of an overview on the Canadian grants landscape for those of you who are brand new or relatively new to grant funding. You're just getting started and you're not quite sure what it looks like and what's out there and is available. So the first question I want to address is, what are grants? So simply put, grants are a form of non-dilutive capital that help you grow your business, your organization, right? So what does non-dilutive capital mean? This is going to be any source of capital that is non-equity, non-debt. So that means that you are not giving up ownership of your business and you are not taking on debt-based financing, which means that you would have to pay that money back to somebody else. Now, this is a fantastic way to bring on some third-party funding into your organization to execute the projects that you are looking to execute and you may not have that funding for. And of course, because it is non-debt and non-equity, we are not, as tied to third-party, investors or funders. We don't necessarily have to, meet their needs in terms of growth goals. We can still have flexibility in our business, how we're growing, and the decisions that we're making. So that's why grants are such a great way and a great source of outside capital that you can definitely leverage within your business to grow. Now, how does grant funding work? This is a really important question to answer for those of you who are just getting started. So grants are earned capital, which can cover between 50% to 100% of project costs typically, right? There's an array of grant programs out there that will cover varying total project costs, but the general outline, of how a grant, works and how you would go out and seek that and secure that for your business. So step one is that you're going to identify a relevant project in your business that you need funding for. And when it comes to grant funding, there are a number of key kind of project types or key grant funding categories that you should be considering. And those 4 categories, and Jamie's going to talk a little bit more about that in a little bit here, but I want to outline those now. So we've got hiring, we've got training, we've got market expansion, and we have research and development. So these are the 4 core categories of grants. And you can very quickly see that the projects you may be executing or hoping to execute at your business would fit into one of these categories. And Jamie will expand a little bit more on that very soon. But that's step one. So identifying a project that you need funding for within your business. Now, of course, you're going to go out and seek a grant that works for that, right? A grant that fits the eligibility criteria for your project as well as for your business. And you are going to submit an application for that funding opportunity. Now, once you get approval for that grant, a really important note is that you will need cash on hand today to begin executing your business. Now, this is something that not all folks realize. Grants do not give you a lump sum of cash up front. You will need some cash on hand to be able to execute on that project. And then grants are going to reimburse you. So as you go through that project timeline, a couple months in, you'll begin to submit documentation on the expenses that you've incurred, and then you'll begin to receive reimbursement on those expenses. So really important to know that grants are earned for future projects, but at the same time, you need that capital today because they will be reimbursing you once you incur those expenses. So generally, that's how grant funding works. If you're brand new to it, important for you to know that that is the structure, and there's a few key and important details that you should be aware of as you're approaching these opportunities for the very first time. Now, how much funding is available to us here in Canada? What can you leverage as a business? You may be surprised to know that there's actually $5.9 billion available annually in non-dilutive government funds. Now, this consists of grants. It also consists of tax credit opportunities for your business. And this is a lot of money, right? The cool thing about this is that this number also fluctuates year to year, depending on the federal and provincial governments, budgets, I should say, as well as any private level funding that is accessible. But as a general kind of figure that we look at, we talk with a figure of 5.9 billion. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to take advantage of all of this money for your own personal business, but you can definitely take advantage of a hefty chunk of this. Pocketed is a great example. We've leveraged, $750,000 in the last 12 months. There are many other companies that are able to take advantage of programs that start at $1 million in funding, depending on how big that project is. So really good to know there is a lot of funding out there. And as long as you can navigate through that space and find something that works for you, your business, and your projects, you can definitely take advantage of it. So that's my intro to grant funding generally. I am now going to hand it off to my colleague, Jamie, who's going to talk to you about some specific funding opportunities that you can leverage as a bookkeeper.
Yes, thank you, Ben. And I just want to say, Pocketed loves bookkeepers. You guys have been such an amazing community for us. I think you really are both, hopefully some of you on the call are benefiting from using Pocketed for yourself, and hopefully you're also being able to add maybe a little more value to your bookkeeping practice, sharing Pocketed with your clients. So just a big shout out to to CPB, who's been a great partner for Pocketed. So glad to see so many people here. So as Ben mentioned, we at Pocketed divide grants into 5 key categories. I put them in the chat. There's hiring grants, training grants, market expansion grants, research and development, and COVID relief. And so I would love to focus to start on hiring grants because we love them here at Pocketed. And for a couple reasons. They are relatively easy to secure. They're available on really friendly cycles throughout the year. So if you miss one intake, there's likely going to be another intake soon. And they also are just a beautiful dovetail of the government's agenda to create jobs and your desire to get project work done. So, right, we talk a lot about at Pocketed that it's not so easy just to get money for marketing, but it's really easy to get money for a marketer. So if you're ready to support a student or a new grad with some professional experience, we believe very strongly that they can have a huge impact on your business. And I will share that in a past role, I actually built a lot of these workforce development programs. And maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I heard all the time from employers, oh, I don't want to take on a student. There's so much work. I'm not sure what the ROI is going to be. And that story has changed so much. Young people today, as digital natives, can bring so much value to businesses. And I think increasingly, I'm really noticing an entrepreneurial mindset in so many of the youth that we've been lucky enough to work with here at Pocketed, but also that I hear from all of my colleagues in different types of businesses. Young people are smart, they're savvy, and with a little bit of structure provided from you, I think that they can do a lot. So shout out to the youth. But in the meantime, a big pot of hiring funding is called SWIP, or the Student Work Placement Program. And so with this program, it's a huge pot of federal money, but then there is close to 24 different delivery agents. So to you, it might look like 24 different programs. It's all the same grant, which is either a 50% or a 70% wage subsidy to hire someone who's a current student. Now, the cool thing about that is that there's not actually an age requirement. So we've seen hires that are maybe not in their late teens, early 20s, but rather further on in their career, who have gone back to school, able to leverage this grant for their employer. So there's no age requirement, but all delivery agents do require that the hire be a current student. Most will allow any degree level. So someone getting a certificate at a community college, someone doing an undergraduate degree, master's, PhD. And then depending on the program that you go with, they are willing to fund a variety of roles. Some just need the role to be entrepreneurial. Some need it to have a digital focus. There is one of the delivery agents focuses on tourism and hospitality jobs. So for folks like you, running bookkeeping practices, working with an accounting firm or a business consulting organization, there's definitely, I would say, about a half a dozen of the programs that would allow you to either hire somebody who's interested in bookkeeping, HR, digital implementation, business strategy, right? So you might want help with actual bookkeeping, that's an option. Or you might want one of these young people to help you drive a project forward that maybe isn't your area of expertise, but that they could do a lot for. So those, and just as a side note, before I move on, the slide is fine, Ben, but just to say, you can learn more about these programs in your Pocketed account. So when you log in and you see your customized grant list, you're going to see some of these student wage subsidy programs. But we do offer support with these programs. So if you would like Pocketed to do one of these applications for you, with all hiring programs, we have a cool model where we actually have success-based fees. So we are willing to apply to these programs for you, and we will only charge you if we successfully secure you the money. And that fee is 20% of the awarded grant amount. So in this example, say you hired a digital marketing intern and you were able to get the full $7,000 award, we would take 20% of that if we were successful. But even if we did all the work and for whatever reason, we didn't get you the grant in the end, you wouldn't owe us a penny. So totally your choice. And that's another good thing to highlight about Pocketed. We're building a ton of technology that is self-serve, enabling you to go out and learn about grants and successfully acquire them yourselves. But we also are very happy to offer service support should that be a fit for you. So you might not know a student, but maybe you want to hire a young person. There's a ton of very attractive money out there from several different funding pots, in fact, that actually will cover 100% of what they call an intern, but it is a young person that has graduated from a post-secondary degree, and they do need to be 30 years or younger. So most of them are called interns. And you can get 100% of their money, their wages covered for varying periods, but on average for about 6 months. Most of these programs also offer a training stipend that the young person can leverage to add some skills for whatever they're working on. So the big areas here are digital roles, green roles, and roles that have some science, technology, engineering or math, or a sustainability focus. So likely the digital pot is going to be the biggest fit for you folks. Maybe you want to hire someone for digital marketing or to build some digital systems. Maybe your whole practice is still using a lot of pen and paper and you want to fully digitize it. There is money out there. But the tricky thing with this one, it's not open yet. So we have yet to see the federal government reallocate this money for 2022-23, but we know it's coming. It's typically largely available in the late summer or fall. So another reason to make sure that you've set up your pocketed account, because we do send marketing blasts when these big funds are open. And another plug, well, Ben will get to this, but there's also some cool ways by subscribing to Pocketed Plus, which is a software offering we have, where you can also make sure you're getting alerts about all of these programs. Again, if you want support with applying to these when they're open, we're happy to help. And these are also done for that 20% success-based fee. Okay, so those are hiring grants. Now let's talk about training grants. These are available in almost every province. They're largely up to $10,000 with some contribution usually required from the employer, but that percentage is largely dependent. Well, first of all, it's dependent on your province. It's dependent on the size of your business. So I know, for example, in BC, they'll give you up to $10,000. But I think if you have 50 or fewer employees rather, so if you're a small practice, you do have to make 20% contribution to the cost of the training. So you could pay for $12,000 of training and get $10,000 back. And so these are great opportunities either to upskill yourself or to upskill a staff member. I also want to make a plug for training grants when it comes to bookkeeping, that if any of you operate as trainers, if you are giving bookkeeping training, accounting training, operations training, and you are able to offer some sort of credential at the end, you potentially could encourage your clients to use this grant to build that bookkeeping capacity in their own businesses. So training grants are also super cool and flexible. And they are available in every Canadian province. We also offer support with those, but it's not necessarily that 20% success fee. With training grants, we generally would charge you an hourly grant writing fee. It's usually just a couple hours to complete a training grant submission, if you did want help with that. Okay, and so then the last slide that I put in here at the last second is I just wanted to talk about digitization grants. And mainly I wanted to alert you all to a huge pot of federal money that's just opening up right now. It's called the Canadian Digital Adoption Program, Cdap. And right now they're still sort of opening the different streams, but there will eventually be 3 different streams. They're going to have new student funding available for literally working on digitization projects for youth to come into your business. But right now, what we are seeing open are micro grants of $2,400 to develop a digital project in your business. Those are available to businesses who have made less than $500,000 in the last year or in one of the last 3 fiscal years. If in any of the last 3 fiscal years you have made more than $500,000, you're actually eligible for a $15,000 digitization grant. So those are cool. They're just rolling out. So again, they are distributed provincially. So there's a bunch of different delivery agents. And for the most part, they're just taking expressions of interest. There's very few. I've only seen one in BC that has their full application open. So again, we'll be in touch about those. Thanks, Ben. So just some different types of grants and ways that you can leverage these different categories for different projects you want to get done in your business. All right, I think I'm done for the time being. Thanks, everyone.
Amazing. Thanks, Jamie. And apologies for that accidental slide change there. No, that was fantastic. Really great to see, a ton of fantastic opportunities specifically for bookkeepers that they can take advantage of for a variety of projects, right? Obviously this depends on what you're working on in your own business, but all of the programs that Jamie highlighted today are applicable to you, and you can definitely leverage these if you do have a project that fits that. So right now we're going to hop into Pocketed. I'm going to show you the platform, a little bit about how you can leverage that as an individual business owner. And thank you to Alex, who's just dropped a link in the chat. That is our sign up link. And we do have a special offer for the CPB community, which I will be going over in a second. But for the time being, I'm just going to switch my screen share over to the Pocketed platform. and we can take a look together. So I've already logged into Pocketed here and I have my account set up, but if you have not set up an account already, the way that Pocketed works is you will come to our site, the link that Alex sent out there below, and you are going to create a business profile. So you'll sign up for your free Pocketed account. There's no cost to sign up for Pocketed on day one. And you will build your business profile out, which means you will provide a ton of detail on your business that will allow our platform to match you with eligible funds that are specific to you. So you don't have to worry about the 1,000+ opportunities that are in the Pocketed database. You are only going to see those programs and opportunities that you can take advantage of as a unique business owner and as a bookkeeper. So I've signed into my Pocketed account. I've already created my business profile. I'm going to click on Explore Grants because I want to see what have I matched with as an individual Pocketed user. And this is our grants dashboard. It's going to look a little bit different for every user that logs in. And one of the main differences is going to be those programs that you match with. So for my business account, I've matched with 151 funding opportunities. I'm super excited about that. That is a lot of funding, opportunities for me to take a look at, and I'm sure that I'm going to be able to find something within that list. But how do we narrow that down, right? We're trying to save you time. Pocketed is trying to make this easier and more accessible to you. So how are we going to reduce that list down and make these opportunities more specific and more actionable for our teams? So the first thing you can do is, of course, use our search icon to search for specific program opportunities like the ones that Jamie talked about today. So if you were looking for Cdap, you could search for that directly in your matches. If it doesn't show up, that likely means that you haven't matched with that as a business owner. But if you do have any concerns or questions, you can reach out to our team through the platform. Now, the other ways that you can find grants that are more specific and work for you, because of course you can't search for a program that you don't know about, you can use our filtering capabilities. So right across the top here, we have a few filters. We can sort filter by amount. We can filter by application length. And then of course, we can also hop into the all filters tab, which is where the really good stuff is, and filter by grant type or project type, right? This is what we spoke about today. There's the 4 core categories and the special 5th category of COVID-19 recovery funding. And when we click on any one of these filters in this all filters tab, we are going to see that our list is greatly reduced. So we went from 150 programs to 52 programs. And now we know that these are both business specific and project specific. So saving us a ton of time on that grant search process and allowing us to find what really, really works for us. Now, if we click into any single one of these programs, we are going to see all the information that we need to feel really confident to say, hey, this is right for me. And I'm either going to go ahead and apply or get that grant support from Pocketed because I want to move ahead with these funds. So the first thing we can see, obviously, we can see how much funding is it, when's the deadline, about the program, eligibility requirements. So for you as a bookkeeper, if you're searching through for specific opportunities like Cdap for your digitization or training opportunities to bring somebody onto your team and upskill them or upskill yourself, once you find that opportunity within Pocketed, read all about it and understand, yes, this is right for me, then all you have to do is click on this Hire a Grant Writer button to connect with our team for that grant writing support, or click on the Apply button to apply on your own. Now I'm going to hop back over to our slide deck as we have a special offer for you today since you've joined our session and you are a part of the CPB community. So our special offer for you today is a discount on our upgraded service offering, Pocketed Plus. So for those of you who want the best tool that Pocketed offers, we do have an upgraded service offering called Pocketed Plus, and you're going to get a few things through that. So first, you're going to get advanced filtering capabilities. So when we were in the platform there, the filters that we looked at, the basic filters in terms of grant type and sorting by funding amount, those are accessible on the basic version of Pocketed. But if you want to access further filtering capabilities, such as looking at only open grants or looking at candidate requirements or more specific things about the projects that you're running on your market expansion opportunities, then you can access those filters through Pocketed Plus. Now, additionally, Jamie talked about a few programs today that aren't quite open yet, right? If you want to make sure that you are keeping an eye on those opportunities and you know when they are opening so that you can apply right away, upgrading to Pocketed Plus will allow you to access real-time notifications and alerts. So you will know when these programs and opportunities open, and you can get your application in and improve your chances of success to secure those funds. Now, what else is really cool about Pocketed Plus is that we have some fantastic partner perks within that package. So if you need access to some legal support, if you need access to some SHRED tax credit support, we can give you some discounts through our partners as well. And what's really cool is some of those actually can pay for themselves. Pocketed Plus is very affordable. It's $180 a year USD billed annually. And with the 25% off discount code, you're going to be paying about, I think, $130 to $140. And so if you're leveraging Pocketed Plus and you're using the partner perks through that package, you are definitely going to be getting your money's worth. So with the code CPB, that is going to qualify you for that 25% discount code. If you use the link in the chat that Alex shared, that will automatically apply the referral code to your account. And then when you're upgrading, you'll just have to make sure that you put that in on the payment processing page. So very excited to bring you this special session offer. And we hope that many of you will upgrade to that premium version of Pocketed Plus. So that concludes our content for today. I wanted to save a little bit of time here at the end for any questions that folks may have. It can be about Pocketed as a platform and a tool. It can be about some of the programs that Jamie talked about today. But this is really an opportunity for you to ask the questions that you have on your mind. So if you're not comfortable unmuting yourself, then you can drop the question in the chat and we will read that out. But if you are comfortable speaking out loud, please feel free to raise your hand. You can do that just at the bottom of your screen and we'll call on you and you can unmute yourself and ask your question. And if we don't have any questions, I think that means that Jamie and I did our jobs very well. Great. Okay, so I don't see any questions popping in just yet. Jamie, it looks like you were going to say something, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop up this thank you slide as we're just approaching time. So I want to thank everybody for taking the time out of their day today to come and learn all about grants and specifically grant funding opportunities for Canadian bookkeepers. We hope to welcome many of you very soon to the Pocketed platform if you are not already on there. And of course, we also hope to see many of you on Pocketed Plus so that we can give you that most tailored support for your grant funding needs. So if you do need to reach out to us with any further questions, you can shoot us an email at hello@hellopocketed.io, or you can reach out directly through the platform once you've signed up for your account. So thank you all for joining today. Jamie and I will be staying on for the next 10 to 15 minutes, just in case we have any questions that funnel in after we wrap this session. But for those of you who would like to hop off, we look forward to seeing you on Pocketed very soon.
Thanks, Ben. It does look like, thanks, May. It does look like we have a couple questions, so I'm happy to jump in there. So you are correct, though. Lynn did just want to confirm the charges are in USD. We do have both a Canadian and a US-based database. So the grants that you see are based on your country of residence. We are actively building out the US database, but it is operational. So if you know folks in the United States, they can also sign up for free and see the grants that they qualify for south of the border. So the next question, Sean is wondering, how can we use this to help our clients, given that it's tailored to our profile? So again, I'll take this one, but it's free. So you would want to encourage your clients to set up their own profile. No cost to them to become a Pocketed user. And then that would enable them, again, as you're saying, to see their customized list based on their business profile of the programs that they would be eligible for. So it's a pretty cool thing about Pocketed. To be clear, there are other competitors. There are other grants databases here in Canada. We are the only one that for free of charge, no cost to you whatsoever, we let you see all of the programs that you match to. And we let you click through, get all of the information that we've shared about each program. And really, we hope that that always is free. It's our belief that the entrepreneurial community is going to really benefit from having all of this grant information collated in one place. We're trying to save you time. And sure, we monetize the process. If you want our help, we are happy to engage you that way. But at the base level, it is free to use and will remain free to use.
Jamie, do you mind if I just add one thing to that? So the link that we shared in the chat that Alex shared, if you use that link, that will sign you up for the free account. So you can feel free to share that link with your communities and clients as well. That will allow them to create their free account. Thanks, Jamie.
So let me know if that didn't, yeah. So again, free to use. But if you have questions about that, Keyshawn, feel free if I didn't answer that. Kim, do you mind sharing more about your question where you say, do you have any startup grants? What do you mean by that? Yeah, I'm not sure if you're still on the call.
basically, I've been a bookkeeper for 32 years in the corporate world, and just recently I've decided that I need to do my own thing because this is getting monstrously difficult to with that much experience. And so I want to share it, and I want to provide supports to new entrepreneurs and new startup people in training, and I've recently taken on Zero and a bunch of other things. And what I want to know is, like, I don't know how many people I'd really be hiring or marketing or stuff, but do you have grants for specific startup costs? Because this would strictly, because I've been working, as a bookkeeper for this much in the corporate world and just putting away for retirement and that kind of thing, the funds are limited, as I'm sure with most bookkeepers and most startup companies. So I just wondered if there was anything specific out there that people may have seen that is specific to getting your business going. I do have the basics of basics, but there's lots more stuff I need, right? So that was my question. Anything specific to the startup?
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ben. You have some thoughts?
Yeah, I do have some thoughts. So the first note that I wanted to make was in terms of just general working capital. There are pretty much no grant programs that are just going to provide you like a lump sum of cash that you can use to spend on anything that you need to get your startup up and running. But there are some low lift opportunities as you're just getting started with launching a new business that you can take advantage of. So there are things like patent or IP micro vouchers that you can utilize if you're developing a product. There are equipment purchasing grants. Now, of course, this is only applicable if you have equipment to purchase, but that, of course, is again good for early stage startups as well. And again, the hiring programs that Jamie talked about today, a lot of those can be very low lift for you as an early stage business to get some funding into your pockets and be able to at least expand on some fronts, such as hiring your first employee. Right. Some of these programs don't even require incorporation; they only require you to be a registered business. And so, if you're very early on in very early days, this can be a great way for you to access that early stage funding. So while there isn't necessarily just a general working capital grant, there are opportunities to, fund things like, patent registration and processing, equipment purchasing, and then those early stage hires as well.
Yeah, I would just add to that. Often when we're thinking about grants, we have to tie them to a government objective. So again, that Cdap program that I mentioned, federal government cares a lot about digitizing our economy. If we're hit with another pandemic, another lockdown, they want as many businesses as possible to stay open in that scenario. So they're allocating a lot of money to help you get your business online. So that $2,400 micro grant to build out maybe a shop function on your website where people can book training calls with you, there's money for something like that. But again, as Ben says, just sort of unrestricted funds are very hard to come by. But I think the more you start learning about grants and can be creative in the sense of, sure, I'm more than happy to hire somebody who maybe historically has had a barrier to employment, right? The government cares about creating opportunity for everyone, and we're all happy to support that. I'd be happy to hire somebody, who, like a woman studying engineering, maybe not the best example for bookkeepers, but still, somebody who in a non-traditional role, government is willing to allocate money for that, but then you can benefit from the project work that person can do. The other exception to that, though, are business competitions. There are often very small grants. We see them often for women entrepreneurs, for BIPOC folks. They're like $1,000, $2,000. And you often just have to make a video about your business, and you will get these sort of small micro grants that you can use however you want. So those are also in the Pocketed platform. It's grants, it's tax credits, as well as business competitions, which tend to be a little more flexible about how you use the money. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, that's actually really great. I kind of had an idea. I knew about some of the women entrepreneur grants out there, which is really great. But I just thought I'd toss the question out because I'm starting to seek money and get this thing off the ground and happening. So thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to put one more, I'm going to put this link in the chat. So one way that we stay connected from our community, because I really appreciate the question and I think we all can learn from it. We do hold these short office hours a couple times a week. So if you ever want to come back and connect with me or Ben or Alex, it's folks like us who lead those sessions. They're totally free to attend. And you can even skip the first 5-10 minutes if you want to. You don't want to hear about how Pocketed works. You already heard Ben tell you about that. But if you're digging into your grant list and you're finding a program and you just have some questions, or like your question here, if you have a business objective you're trying to fund, come to those office hour sessions. There's usually 2 or 3 or 4 other people, and we brainstorm about how we can creatively leverage grants. So meeting link is there, and we love to do those office hours with folks. I think there was a question about hiring grants.
Yeah, there's one more question from Lena. I'm looking to expand and hire a new employee or 2. Do I have to have them already hired to apply for hiring grants, or only once I have hired them? Applying as I look for employee. So I'm happy to take this, or you can, Jamie.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the answer is both. If you already have an employee that you are ready to hire, then of course, at that point in time, you can definitely apply for a hiring opportunity. But if you don't have an employee yet that you have ready for that role, you can also still apply. So the way that hiring grants work is there's going to be 2 stages of approval. So the first stage is going to be the role and your business. You're going to get approval on that. And the second stage is going to be the approval on the actual candidate that you are hiring to fulfill that role. So if you have a candidate already in mind and you're ready to move ahead on hiring them, that is fantastic. That is going to position you the best for securing a hiring grant. But if you aren't quite ready yet, you don't have that employee in mind who you would like to hire, you can still apply. You will have a bit of buffer room to find that employee, but just do be aware that even if you get that business approval, if you don't find an eligible candidate and you don't submit that for approval on the employee side of things, you may lose that opportunity to get that funding. So that's a really important consideration. But if you haven't already hired somebody, you can still apply to hiring grants.
And a helpful hint that we give out all the time is that if it's very chicken and egg, right? You need the money to hire, but you have to have the hire identified to get the money finalized. So what we always suggest is that when you are making an offer of employment, it's totally legit to make that offer pending funding. We do it here at Pocketed when we hire summer interns. We make it transparent that we are only able to hire them if we get the grant. And then you're just legally protected if you do need to withdraw the offer of employment should the grant not be successful. So that's a bit of a workaround that all of the delivery agents also love to share with people seeking those hiring grants, where you do have to have the candidate identified, but then it takes a couple weeks to get the funds approved. So hopefully that pending funding clause can be helpful to y'all.
Yeah. Great. Okay, so we are just hitting the 10-minute mark over the session. So
Yvonne,
Sorry, Jamie. I think my Wi-Fi is cutting out a little bit on my end.
Go ahead.
What I was going to say was that we are just hitting the 10-minute mark post session close. So we are going to wrap the session today. Thank you everyone for your fantastic questions in the chat. If there's anything that you did not get addressed, please feel free to follow up with us directly at the hello@hellopocketed.io address. You can also visit our daily office hours to ask further questions that you may have missed out on today. But I want to thank everyone once again for taking the time out of their day to come and learn a little bit more about grant funding, a little bit more about grant funding opportunities for bookkeepers, and a little bit more about Pocketed. So thank you. Have a great rest of your day, and do keep your eye out for our session recording, which we will be sending out a little bit later this afternoon. Have a great day, everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks
Thanks
everyone.
Ben. Thanks, Alex.